sexy apple. You like to ride. Come on, let's slide. Let the music grab you. You own the night, and you'll never forget. So much love you can never regret. And you'll never forget. So much love you can never regret. Don't regret. Dancers don't cry. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked. Dancers don't lie. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked. In a secret corner of your heaven, our world is blind. You a star in my darkness. You save me. You drive me wild, and you'll never forget. So much love you can never regret. And you'll never forget. So much love you can never regret. Dancers don't cry. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked. Dancers don't lie. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked. Dancers don't cry. A little bite, I taste your sexy apple. You like to ride. Come on, let's slide. Let the music grab you. You own the night, and you'll never forget. So much love dances don't cry. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked dances don't lie. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked. In a secret corner of your heaven, our world is blind. You a star in my darkness. You save me. You drive me wild, and you'll never forget. So much love you can never regret. And you'll never forget. So much love you can never regret.
Okay, so that's it, right?
Dances don't cry. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked dances don't lie. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked dances don't cry.
All right. I hope everybody can hear me. Forgive me for the slow start. Forgive me for the slow start. I don't know if I'm being able. Whoa, what's going on? 1 second, let me. Forgive me, just 1 moment.
A little bite.
All right, so
Taste your sexy apple.
hopefully you can see me now. Let me just adjust these things because I'm here by myself, as the topic suggests. We have a male loneliness epidemic, and it looks like the loneliness just got me, because I'm doing this by myself and having some issues. What I want to do is to quickly check if the sound is working, because unfortunately I'm not able to monitor my sound now. Let me see if I can monitor my sound. Is the audio? Can you hear me? If anybody would be so kind as to tell me if you can hear me. Here. 1 sec. I apologize for this delay. Let me now see if I can. Yes, so we're about to jump into it. Wow, it's quite late actually. I really am sorry.
You a star in my
I don't know if my audio
darkness.
is being heard
You
right now.
save me.
I don't know if you can hear me.
You drive me wild, and you never forget.
So once I'm sure you can hear me, I'll jump right into
So
it.
much love you can never regret.
Once I'm sure you can hear me,
And you never forget.
I will jump right into it. So
much love you can never regret.
ooh.
Dancers don't cry. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked dancer. I'm your naked dancers don't lie. I'm your naked dancer.
That's the thing about going live, sometimes things just don't go right. But we shall overcome. This will not stop the world domination. So just the sound. Once I know you can hear me, then I will be able to right away begin. All right, so please give me 2 minutes. Just give me 2 minutes and I will confirm that the audio is working properly. And we will jump in. So what's the next move to make sure the audio is working? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, looks like the audio is working. So I'm going to take the risk and just get started, even though in the past I had made a mistake with audio.
I taste your sexy apple. You like to ride. Come on.
All right. All right, so let me move this a bit. Whoa. What a start. Difficult start, but we are here. So, my name is John Paul from wpcover.com, and today I want to talk to you about what is being termed as the male loneliness epidemic. And the reason why I am talking about it today, specifically to web developers, I'm a web developer, and web developers often have to do things alone. And even in the context of a team, we all have our skills. Every company has a different culture. If you work on your own, you work differently. But as a man, as a male in this society, I think there is a big challenge that we are having, and specifically in our profession and technical professions where you have to think very objectively about things. I think it puts us in a very difficult spot, in a difficult position. And so on the wider scale, you see the similar phenomenon in all kinds of professions, all kinds of situations, all kinds of circumstances, really. So you could see a guy who out to the outside looks like he's having a dream life. Maybe he has a big house, maybe even has a family, has the kind of car that you would want to drive or a lot of people like. And yet that person feels lonely, or there's a problem, right, with how he feels about himself. We've had people, like Robin Williams, who left us, unfortunately, and he was one of the most successful men on the planet, and yet he felt he didn't want to be here anymore. And many of us have felt that the same feeling. You may have felt that way, and you may be feeling that way right now. I've gone through something similar. If you've ever had to go through family courts, you know, it's not necessarily fun, and there are a lot of difficulties that come with it. So I want to look into it today, and I think I'm gonna make this a more regular situation, something that I can be doing more often, because I got some questions as I prepared for this live in my inbox, and feel free to send any questions you want and any insights you want to share, or any contribution that you want to make. Let me know, because I think this is an important topic, and it was only after I posted to talk about it and I started getting questions that I realized there is a lot more to it than I thought. And now, not that I didn't take it seriously, I didn't realize how many men actually um, you know are affected by this. And so I think it's important for me to share my experiences, because I think I've been quite successful with dealing with a lot of these issues. I had some support, but also I made up my mind not to allow this to get to my life and get to me, and to find a way to build a life that I actually want. So I'm still building the life I want. However, the most serious or the bottom part of it, or perhaps I hit rock bottom, you could argue. And I'm not going to get into my story today, because I'll save that for another time. But suffice to say, I've hit a very low point in my life, and I had to climb up. And in the past, I had a business helping men as well. I used to help with dating, and I've helped people dealing with abusive girlfriends or ex-girlfriends, abusive wives who have had to leave the relationships. I've coached men through court proceedings. And so that has given me another level of insight. And I've noticed that when I was doing research on what I could contribute to the web developer community, I noticed that a lot of people have various complaints, including burnout. But when you dig deeper, you see that the loneliness part of it is actually really affecting everything, or that's the most obvious, not necessarily the most significant, but the most destructive part of it. So that's my introduction. Again, if I've skipped anything, let me know. This is unscripted. I'm just going live, and I'll be doing more. So thank you for being here. Thank you for watching despite all the technical difficulties. I'm assuming you can hear me. All my monitoring is telling me that you can. So I'm going to jump in and talk about today's topic. And so while I address this specifically to web developers, as I said, and different people signed up. You may not be even a developer and you signed up, or you may be a different kind of programmer and you signed up, or just a completely different profession and you signed up. So this applies basically to anybody who is going through this right now. And I want to start with this. I want to be as honest as I can be. The internet is such that you have to be careful what you say. We all know this for various reasons. I will go as deep as I can, and perhaps I'll create something separate for people who want to go even deeper than what I'm about to share, or into more detail if it's a topic that is not allowed on the platforms that I'm streaming on. But I'm not going to hold back in any event. So I may just say something that I shouldn't say, and that is just the nature of what I'm doing. I'm not going to say things that are politically correct. I'm not going to adhere to any particular ideology. So chances are you will be offended, or somebody you know will be offended by something I'll say. You may agree with a lot of things, and you may disagree with others. I'm not going to speak based on that. I'm going to speak based on what I believe the truth is, because I also want to solve the problems for myself and whoever is listening. So if you really want a solution, don't focus just on the feelings, right? Because sometimes the truth hurts. So I may say something that is true, and it will hurt your feelings, and it's just what it is. Uh, and I always appreciate feedback, and I'll do my best to provide what I can based on what people are asking. So why is this important? The reason why this is important is this is your life, okay? I'm sure you've heard something similar before, but this is not a rehearsal. As our brothers who have been forced into military or are voluntarily in the military anywhere in the world, right? And so this is where the truth starts. I'm not even going to discriminate between parties or political factions or anything like that, because this is not what this is about. So, whatever your thoughts are, the reality is that men on whatever side of a conflict are usually the ones who are donated to the conflict, right? They're the ones who have to lay down their lives. If you end up in that situation, or any situation where you have to face death directly, you realize that it's real. It's happening. It's happening right now. So if you don't address this problem, you're not going to get another shot. All the things you wanted, the kind of relationship you wanted, or if you want to get out of the relationship you are in right now, the car you want, the house you want, the family you want, the love you want, the opponents or enemies you may want, I don't know what you're into, you have to get them. So by addressing this topic, you have to address that, because they say no man is an island. Well, many of us are islands today. And when you're on your own, it's difficult to make progress in a lot of situations. Now, on the flip side, you do have to make progress on your own in certain situations. Like, let's say in this live you're watching right now, I'm alone doing this, right? There's nobody here with me. I built up a small studio setup for me to be able to do this, and of course I intend to build it up. But I'm starting alone, right? Because that's what I have to do now. That doesn't mean I want to be alone all the time, or I'm going to be alone all the time. So there has to be a balance between the two things. But unfortunately, when all you have is loneliness, then that may even take away your desire to even be here, right? It takes away your will to your drive and the joy out of life. I was walking in town yesterday, and I asked myself, because I was beginning to feel a little bit depressed, and I said, "Oh, I don't like this." And I said, as the feeling came onto me, I said, "So when am I going to actually enjoy my life? Like, what's this?" So immediately I decided, to go out, have a nice meal with some associates, um, and I said, no matter what the circumstances are, I'm going to find a way to enjoy my life. I'm going to go into this. If you don't fight the loneliness, or you don't deal with it, you will never have the relationship you want. And if it's a romantic relationship, you will not want it. You will not get it, because by projecting that feeling, because we project what we feel deep inside, you will not be able to attract who you want. And that's a topic we'll also look at, because it's important here. So what is this male loneliness epidemic that we are talking about? And now we are hitting a very important part of the issue. Because in my view, even calling it an epidemic is a self-perpetuating issue, is a problem. It perpetuates the problem, because by calling it an epidemic, you are implying that it's some kind of disease, right? Because it was an epidemic. It's when a disease spreads all over the place, right? Like we had our what was it, megademic or something a couple of years ago, right? We had all this lockdown. I don't remember what it was called exactly, but that's what it is. And by implication, that means there's something further wrong with our men. Just calling it that, I think, is a problem. Is there an issue of male loneliness? Yes, indeed, there is. There is. But calling it an epidemic is a problem. I use it because that's how people identify it. And at some point, I think I'm going to coin a term, a more appropriate term. I'll use this term for now, so that people know what topic it is. They can categorize it. But I don't think that's the appropriate term for it. So what it really is the widespread or ubiquitous, or the preponderance perhaps of lonely men. And it is not an epidemic because it doesn't spread from one man or one male to another. It is the emergence of lonely men in such a high quantity, in such a high number, that gives it the appearance of an epidemic. But really, what it is, essentially, it's individual men experiencing the same challenges, the same issues. And I'm going to cut straight to the heart of the matter here, because I think the root cause of it is that men has just been devalued by the society from a very early age. And when you get devalued, sometimes it's little tiny things, but it's continuous. When you get devalued, what happens is you don't develop certain skills, like social skills, appropriately. You start having a negative image of yourself, and then you end up isolating yourself. When you work in a field like web development, right? There is times when you have to code for a long, like I sometimes code for, for hours. I don't even realize what's happening. And then when I'm done, I've been by myself the whole day, perhaps. So what's next? Now you may be tired. Now you're using faculties that really are very highly objective, highly, um, analytical, right? Because you're dealing with a machine. And if you started coding from an early age, like I did, during that time, you were not developing your social skills. You may not even, and because of the devaluation that happens, you may not have developed a good relationship with yourself, which now means that even when you are by yourself, which is important, you don't know how to relate to yourself, and that makes it even more difficult to relate to others. You go out, you get negative feedback. It may hurt. You may get rejected. You may get laughed at for whatever reason. You may just not fit in. And then you go back to yourself, and it becomes a vicious cycle. And then when enough men do this, or enough males, young boys, young men do this, then it becomes widespread. And then you have to ask yourself a question: why is it so ubiquitous? Why there's so many people experiencing this? And then you dig into it, and you realize that the males are being devalued, men are devalued. And I'm sure you've seen this talking point, or heard this talking point, but you watch sitcoms and the guys are silly, or the guy, like you watch a sitcom like Friends, the guy who gets the girls is of course silly and not smart and dumb and perhaps downright stupid, right, in appearance or behavior. And that affects your psyche, because then that's all the role models you may see, or having what you want. And then it gets deeper. Your sexual desires are looked down upon, right? I'm going to be careful in this territory. Again, not all platforms are allow this discussion, so I will have to figure out how to go into that properly. But your desire to have a mate, a relationship, is probably looked down upon by the society. Then you are being made not to prioritize yourself, not to prioritize your feelings, but to prioritize other people's feelings, right? So then, since any given individual can only take care of themselves, really, right? Only for most people, only you can shower yourself, or clean yourself, brush your teeth, and so forth. So the same thing applies to emotional development, your spiritual development, and getting what you want out of life. Only you can really, really go for it. So if you are told to put others in front of you, or ahead of you, or above you will not get those things. But the society promises you that if you're this nice guy, you comply, you do the things you're supposed to do, go to school, say please and thank you, and work hard, get the money, do the things that you are being told to do, you will be rewarded with a good life, which is a lie. And I think part of the reason why we have so many males struggling with this is because we have believed this lie and we've neglected ourselves, thinking this will be rewarded for that neglect because it's the sacrifice that we need to make. And you see this a lot. Now, there are other factors, and I'm going to go into them in a moment, but there's another thing I want to mention right now. I don't think, as of now, this is something that will necessarily change in the wider society. I don't think that's going to change. What can change is for you to change your life. So I'm speaking just to you, right? This is not a quest to change society because I don't have the manpower to do that, and frankly, I don't have the desire to do that because that is beyond what I am able to do right now. But if I can help you and your life gets better, that's good enough for me. And I think that's a starting point for anybody. Make your life better, then you can help others. And then that can spread. And then we have the reverse reaction, right? Rather than try to change the society, which it will not change, a lot of guys will cling onto this because a lot of males also settle for less. So they will accept a pat on the head, a pat on the back, perhaps a watch, a reward, right, at work, and be lonely in exchange for those 15 minutes of attention. I don't think that's enough, but a lot of them will. A lot of guys will stay in abusive relationships because when they go out with the girl, people are like, wow, your girl is so hot. Oh, you have such a nice lady. Oh, she's a keeper, right? Because there is some who act nicely in public to cover up what's really going on. And for those bits of attention, a lot of guys will stay in those situations. And I can't do much for that. And I think, unfortunately, that is the majority of what we have today. So I'm not on a quest to change anybody's mind who doesn't want to change. If you want your life to be better, then that's where I think what I have to share with you is very important. So the other part of this is that men are being devalued, and actual men's actual way of being is devalued. So the fact that there's a way males interact with the world is ignored. We are told, for example, they say you should talk about your problems, right? And yes, there is a point where you should talk about your problems. We are doing that right now. But that is not enough for us, and that is not our way. That is just one tool that we occasionally may choose to use to solve our problems. But I don't want to go and cry in front of strangers. It's not what I want to do. It's not like I've been broken down in the past and I have cried in front of strangers. It is what it is. But that is not the way I want to go about solving my problems. That is not what I want to do. I don't want to sit in a circle and listen to how horrible somebody else's life is and tell them how my life is horrible, get patted on the back, and go home back to the same horrible life. That doesn't do anything for me. So the solutions being provided don't fit with how men like to think, right? I'm not saying, and if you do like to think that way, that's fine too. I'm not saying you have to fit into any specific way of doing things, but you have to be considered as who you are. We like certain things. We like certain sports, and those things we are being told are not important. Anytime we have any competitive advantage in a workplace and so forth, straight away men are being put down for it. And I've seen situations where men are not chosen because they want people who, other people to have it. And for the sake of the platforms I'm using, I'm not going into more details, but I think it's something I have to address as well separately. But there's a way males like to express their anger. There's a way we like to express aggression sometimes. And we are told we are threats, right? Everywhere you turn, every time you try to make a case for a male, straight away is countered with arguments about how others have it worse, as if that means you should not have a good life because another person is suffering, not because of you. And then, interestingly enough, you are then blamed for things that happened 300 years before you were born, or 400 years ago, or maybe thousands of years ago that you were born, or things that didn't happen, things that are fictional. Everything seems to be cast on men in our society today. So when you go out and try to connect with people who have these negative views, how do you connect with them? How do you not end up lonely? If as a boy, you know, when you're a little cute boy, everybody gives you attention, then all of a sudden it stops, right? Because now you're older. Now your value was in being cute. You grow up trying to still be cute, and it just doesn't work right. You're now a weirdo, right? According to the society. How do you not become lonely? If anytime you speak, the way you want to speak, the way you are told you can't speak that way. So how do you not become lonely? It's almost as if we are being bombarded with the idea that being male is wrong by nature. And there's this dumb theory in society that we should change men. No, 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 no. We are the ones who are willing to spend 18 hours working on 100 lines of code that just do one thing and then make it open source for everybody, and is a tool everybody uses that doesn't even know that somebody spent 18 hours perfecting just those lines of code, you know, for a function or a method, you know, that just improves the performance of everything else. We are the ones who are willing to do that. We are the ones who are willing to stay up all night to read a textbook just so that, you know, we create a piece of software that pops up, you know, for a split second on the screen and it disappears. But nobody knows the amount of work that went into it, right? Right from way back, Charles Babbage, you know, who I look at, correct me if my history is wrong, as the father of modern computing, right to all the developers we have today. We are the ones willing to do it. When you have sites like OnlyFans, guess who is really behind the technology and who's making sacrifices for that? And we are making those sacrifices. We are. So when the society pretends or says, "Oh, but look at that other one person that also did it," so what? That person's one person is no more important than the 10,000 guys who are maintaining the software every day. But we are told that person is, and sadly enough, a lot of males will also agree with that. So it's not a thing where again we can start with a wide change. It has to be individuals who do what they want for themselves, and that's okay with me. And I think that's the best way to go about it, because I'm not really a crusader like that. So forgive me, I'm just checking time, because I was supposed to end this about, I think, 12 minutes ago. I started late, so I'll stay for a few minutes. But if our contributions are undervalued, and if we are only valued for 15 minutes by our contributions, not by our very existence, right? We are told we have to work for our value, which is not true. We have intrinsic value as men. We are valuable, we are important, we are necessary. We are the ones who make things happen. It is us who do it in practice. That doesn't mean nobody else contributes, but the majority is us. And when another male does something wrong, that's not my fault and it's not your fault, right? That is what the society tells us, but it is not true. It's just the way we've come to live, is the way we've come to be. Yes, our emotional development is very important, and your emotional development is necessary for you to move forward with your life and have a good life. And a lot of males today are not developed for some of the reasons I've mentioned and other reasons that we have yet to go into, because there's so much to talk about, and I only scheduled half an hour for this today. So you have to start with making a decision that you will make your life better. You have to start building a vision of what you want and believe that you can have it, because you can have it. You can have the life you want, and it is all right and it is good for you to have the life you want, even if other people can't have the same thing. It is okay for you to work for what you want. It's okay for you to be strong and powerful, and for even people to be scared of you, as long as you're not, doing anything wrong, any bad, having bad intention. Let them. Let them feel inferior to you if they want to. It is not your responsibility to be less so that others can feel they are more, or that others can feel good enough. It's okay to be better than others at what you do. I'm sure you are better than others at something. I'm better than others at some things. And I'm proud of that. And guess what? I'm going to keep getting better. I'm going to keep getting better. I'm going to get more competitive. I'm going to work harder at what I do, and to contribute more, even if others don't like it, because I'm not here to be the world's best friend. I am a man, and I'm proud to be a man, right? So your assignment, till we speak again, is to spend some time thinking about the life you want, and look at where you are sacrificing you're sacrificing your happiness, your well-being for others, because you cannot attract people into your life until you sort yourself out. That doesn't mean you have to be perfect, no. But there are certain little things you have to sort out that will smoothen interactions with other people. And there's a lot more we can talk about. I'm going to leave it here for now. If you have any questions, please send them to me. I'm grateful to be able to do this live, to talk about these issues. So really, let me know any issues you want me to talk about. So I'm going to sign out here. My name is John Paul from WPCover.com, and today we've been talking about male loneliness. I'll have another live soon, and thank you for being here. All the best.